all for joining us today. This webinar is being recorded and we'll make it available on our website after today's presentation. Our members have had a lot of questions about Fortified, both the building standard and the grant program that the department is now administrating. And so we wanted to put together an informational webinar. We'll start with our speakers just presenting, and then there will be time to do Q&A. If during their presentation a question occurs to you, just drop it into the Q&A box at the top of your screen. You can hit Q&A and then ask the question, and we will feed that to the presenters and answer those questions at the end of their presentation. Up first, we have Darren with the Department of Insurance. He is insurance specialist with the Office of Consumer Advocacy and Diversity for the Department of Insurance. He's been in the industry for a long time. He's worked on the company side, on a variety of sides, and he is an expert at the department on the grant program that they're administering. So he's going to start by talking to us a little bit about the grants, and then we will introduce our other speakers who are going to talk to you a little bit more about the Fortified standard itself and the importance of encouraging your clients to do Fortified and some of those things. So Darren, why don't you kick us off?
All right. Thank you for having me. I want to really tell the IIABL how much. Oh, okay. Sorry, there was some feedback there. Sorry. I wanted to thank the IIABL for having me to speak for the department. The program's very interesting. I've only been speaking about it for maybe the last 6 to 8 weeks. It's been pretty successful so far. What is it? I think it's like 1,500 grants have been awarded so far. They're going to be opening up the application process to everybody tomorrow at noon. Before the last 1,500 grants that were given out were specifically for citizens policy, homeowners policy holders. The Commissioner Donilon decided on that just because a lot of those people, everyone's suffering in the state, but if you're with citizens, if you have any experience with citizens, those people are really, really getting hammered. So the commissioner decided to allow the first half to go to citizens policies only. But as I said, tomorrow, November 2nd, is when the application process is going to open to any and all Louisiana citizens, not Louisiana citizens policyholders, but citizens of Louisiana. A little bit about the application process, what people can do for this process. They can go on ahead and they can go on anytime on to LDI.la.gov/Fortify Homes. And that's on the website, all that information, ldi.la.gov. And they can go on ahead and set up a profile to be ready to go when the application process begins at noon. So the whole grant program is basically this. It's going to be it's a $10,000 grant that goes towards this whole roofing program. From my understanding, and I think we're gonna have a speaker talk about this later on. Louisiana building codes are up to, I think it's like 2021 standards, which is fairly close to what the Fortify standard is. So you're basically, what it is that you're not having to pay much over what it would be to have a new roof put on your home. So but it's a $10,000 grant. Basically what's going to happen is once you start the application process, you're going to be required, there's only a few qualifications that you have to meet to be eligible for the grant. You have to provide proof of your homestead exemption. You have to have wind and hail coverage for your home. And if you're in a flood zone, you have to provide proof of flood insurance. That's only if you're in a flood zone. If you are not in a flood zone, you do not need to provide proof or anything of flood insurance. Only if you're in a flood zone. I have to keep reiterating that to a lot of people. They get kind of confused for whatever reason, but those are the 3 requirements. And that's it. There's no income limit. If you don't make anything, if you make $200,000 a year, what have you, there is no income restriction here. What happens after that is once your application is accepted, what's going to happen is as people are applying on the website, once your application for the grant is accepted, basically the department holds that $10,000 for you, kind of in a stack. Once everything has been applied for, the application process shuts down. And after that, people will eventually be weeded out. Maybe if their flood insurance isn't current, or their wind and hail insurance isn't current, or something's wrong with their homestead exemption. But that money is held to the side, and then the process goes. The homeowner goes on ahead and chooses an evaluator and a roofer. They can go with whoever they want, as long as those people, they have to be registered with the state of Louisiana. You can't have just a certified FORTIFIED evaluator / roofer as your contractor. They have to be licensed to do with FORTIFIED on the website, and that is on the website. You can go and look and see if these people have that certification, licensing, what have you, with the state. I think the last time I checked, it was like, I think now it's over 60 contractors and maybe over 30 or 40 evaluating companies that have registered. So once all the work is complete, and like I said, we have other people that are going to talk about the whole process with FORTIFIED, but once everything is complete and the certification has been completed with IBHS, that certification gets mailed out. You then will provide that to the insurance company. The insurance company will then, they are required by law to give a discount to people on their premiums for homes that have been given this FORTIFIED standard on their roofs. Starting today, most of the insurance companies should have already turned in their actuarial formulas for a discount to the department, and those discounts will be posted on our website to show what discount they're giving for the FORTIFIED standard. I'm not sure if every insurance company has, is going to get it in by the 1st. I know they're going to have to, the department's going to review and see if, they're being fair. In Alabama, the average discount on premiums that their department, or that the insurance companies are giving over there, is between 25 and 45% on their premiums. So a lot of people have spoken to me and said, well, couldn't they just say, oh, we're just going to give like a 5% discount, as in the insurance companies, or we're just going to give a 2% discount. And what I've been told by our deputy commissioner is that if that occurs, the state's going to send it back and be like, you're giving Alabama residents 25 to 45% off their premiums, and you're not giving us that. Why are you giving it to them and not us? So it's a huge thing for residents right now. I mean, God, I can't imagine, somebody gets a FORTIFIED roof and then they find out with their insurance company that they're getting a 30% or 40% discount on their premium. I mean, it's huge. So That's base. Oh yeah, and then so once the roofing is complete and everything has been sent in for the certification, the state will then mail that $10,000 check to the contractor. The check never touches the hands of the citizen, the consumer. Once everything has been certified and verified and everything, that money goes directly to the contractor. So that's pretty much how the process works. It's fairly simple as long as people can, get that proof in on their application. There are a couple exceptions with that though. One, businesses are not eligible for this program. Churches are not eligible for this program. Multifamily home buildings are not eligible. Apartment complexes, townhome complexes, things like that. Those are not eligible. Obviously, mobile homes and things like that are not eligible. The one exception with this is that like a duplex. So if somebody owns a duplex, they just have to provide proof that they, obviously they own the duplex, but that they live there. And if they can provide that proof, then they can qualify for the program as well. So those are pretty much the only exceptions. That's the process. Like I said, it's fairly simple. It's fairly easy. If you have any questions, you can call us here at the department. The Fortify program actually has a direct phone number. Their phone number is 225-342-0111. And if you want to reach out to them via email, the Fortify program's email is fortify@ldi.la.gov. And if anybody has any other questions, you can reach out to me. You can call the department. You can call me. I can get you to where you need to go. My phone number is area code 225-219-5818. And that's my direct line. So if anybody has any questions, concerns, anything like that, give me a call, or I can at least get you to somebody who can answer your question.
Darren, do you mind taking a couple questions now?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So the first question is, can you provide the website address again
Sure.
for the application?
Sure. It's you're gonna go. It's LDI.la.gov/Fortify Homes, and that's one word. So it's FORTIFY Home. Well, Fortify. Yeah, I think Fortify Homes. Now I can't remember if it's homes or home. I think it's Fortify.
It's homes.
There you go. That's what I thought.
We'll post it in the chat as well.
Yeah.
Could you put it in the chat? That way they can just copy and paste. That might be a really good way for them. Make sure they don't mess it up and all that.
Darren, we'll take care of that, Darren. The second question we got is, does the discount apply to both admitted and non-admitted or surplus lines companies? The requirement to file a discount.
No, it's open for anything.
But the requirement is only for admitted companies that are required to file their rates with the Department of Insurance, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Definitely.
So surplus companies can file a discount, but the only ones that are required to file it are admitted insurers who file their rates with the department.
Yes.
I
believe so.
Next question is, you said it's a $10,000 grant. Is it up to $10,000? And then how is that done? If your roof is $8,000, I'm assuming you're only getting $8,000, but if your roof costs $12,000 or $30,000, is it a percentage, or are they giving out $10,000?
No, it's the max. The max is 10. The max is 10,000. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, on average, so from my understanding, on average, like just an average family home, I think they average that at like 1,400 square feet, maybe. The average price is anywhere between 14 to 17,000 to replace the roof on a home that size. But it's like the difference in price for, like, if you're just replacing the roof at the current coating standard, And then comparing that to the Fortified standard, it's only a difference of like $2,000, $2,000 or $3,000, I think. So, and like I said, the smart home people are going to talk more a little bit about the specifics, the specs, and everything about how that all works. But yeah, it's a max of $10,000. So if you got a $50,000 roof, you have this huge house. Yeah, the state's only going to give a $10,000 grant.
I think the question is basically if you've got a $12,000 roof and a $30,000 roof, are both of them likely to get the full 10?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. I mean, and like I said, I mean, as long as, depending on like, if you have a $30,000 roof and you're, third in line and you get your stuff in and everything like that, and you want to get that new roof, yes, the consumer is going to be responsible, obviously, for the other 20,000, but they will get that $10,000 grant. Sure. As long as, yep. So yeah, there's no, it's not a percentage or anything like that. It's up to the max of 10,000. So, if somebody has like a smaller house, yeah, and it's like an $8,000 roof, then it'll be $8,000. There is something else though. I forgot to mention this. So you to be eligible to get the grant, your home has to also have like a concrete foundation. So if your home is on piers or columns, yeah.
No, we'll cover that. We'll make sure to cover that. So yeah, I don't want to.
From my understanding, what I've been told that you have to have like a regular foundation. I can definitely find that out while we're in here to double check. That was my
actually cover all about Fortified and all the requerequirements for the actual Fortified program.
So
yeah,
that's
you're not wrong. That's
probably a good transition point then. We've got another couple of questions about the construction standard and all that, but I think it would probably be best at this point to introduce Julie and Alex, who are our next speakers. Let me pull up their bios because I don't have your bios memorized. I apologize. So Alex is the Fortified Market Development Manager at IBHS, which is the industry group that has developed the Fortified standard. They provide communities across the Gulf Coast and nationally with a dedicated expert on the Fortified standard. Alex has worked in the home building industry for over 20 years and is now involved in leadership roles, including as a NAHB national delegate. She's a licensed home builder in Alabama and recently completed her own Fortified Gold home. Congratulations on that. Julie is the president and CEO of Smart Home America. Under her leadership, Smart Home America has fostered a culture of resilience by supporting local efforts to implement proven solutions and reduce disaster-related losses. Her advocacy has led to a lot of policy changes that enhance building methods, codes, and incentives for construction. She's got over 20 years of experience in local and state government, and she has developed many environmental and hazard mitigation projects. Her expertise allows her to collaborate effectively with leaders at various levels of government, implementing policies that support disaster reliance. So I will turn it over to them for their presentation, which will go into more detail on the standard itself and some of those questions that you guys have.
Thank you, sir. So as Wim was saying, I'm Julie Shaw-Woodard with Smart Home, and I'm going to back up and give you some context to who Alex and I are. So we started working with the state of Louisiana, the Department of Insurance, and the Office of Community Development before COVID. We started working on what would it take to get the state of Louisiana to a similar state that Alabama is in. Alex and I have been working with the Department of Insurance consistently for the last 2 years to build your grant program. So we are the entities that built with the state of Alabama's Department of Insurance, the grant program we have. And yours is based on Alabama's grant program, but it's unique to your state. And Alex is the technical advisor to the state. And so she is the one that works with the roofers, contractors, and evaluators and has them on calls twice a week, going through all of the stuff that we're learning and living through in the field as your grant program rolls out. And then we work very closely with the department to get the education and outreach rolled out, which is part of why we are speaking with you today. So we are, as well as Darren, sources of information that you can call. Darren is in your state, so call him first. And Tom Waters is Tom is the deputy director over the program. We're on the phone with Tom every single day, helping you guys roll it out as smoothly as possible and putting out as many fires as possible. So I am going to share my screen, and hopefully I'm going to share my screen. And we are going to, let's see, I want to do that screen. And I want to do that. And I'm checking, Graham, can I see? Okay. All right. So why we're talking to you is that we've been doing this for a very, very long time, and we've been supporting you as a state for the last almost 5 years now. There are over 55,000 designated structures in the United States to the fortified designation level. Of that, Alabama holds a little over 45,000, simply because we've been doing it a lot longer. And I think what I want to tell you first is that we got where we are because we were in the same situation you are in right now, where our insurance market collapsed. And that was after Katrina and Ivan. And so we've been working to get that back. And what I also want to say is that the Gulf of Mexico insurance market is very similar in every state except for Alabama. Ours is feeling the pressure of the hard market, but not the level that you're feeling. Ours is stable because of how many fortified designations we have, and they're growing. So Darren went over the program with you. That's the website. So if you put in the address and you don't get there, put the address in again, because that's where you want to get, or that's where your policyholder wants to get. And we're going to talk a little bit more. So I want to go over some of the stuff that we are getting in the field that we would like you to help us clarify, because there's so much misinformation. So Darren went over the fact that it's a $10,000 no match grant. He went over how many have been out there or out there so far, and that was predominantly for citizens. That's going to roll again. Now the LDI's website right now says November 6th. So Darren says it's going to open tomorrow. So just know that the website, if anybody, a policyholder goes to it, it's going to say November 6th. The homeowners must have homestead exemption, wind and flood, just like Darren said. And I'm going to repeat what he said because we really need your help in clearing up some confusion out there. It is a fortified roof designation that they're trying to get to, right? So they need to get to that roof. There's that website again. It was also put in the chat. Roofers and evaluators must be certified in both fortified wise, hurricane, and high winds. So that means that they have to go through a training that's offered by IBHS. That's who Alex works for. So they have to register and they have to sit through a training and take a test before they're certified. So they can say they're certified, but if they're not on the list on IBH's website and LDI's website, then they're not fortified trained. And they have to be on IBHS's website, or they cannot show up on the LDI website. And the homeowners will not be reimbursed until that certificate is issued for that roof, that it's proven that it's met that standard. And Darren went over all this, so I'm just going to keep going over it because we're really trying to imprint it in your frontal lobe so you can be advocates for us. Homeowners can choose their evaluator, they can choose their contractor, but the roofs must use the grant program bid sheet. And I'm saying this to you because some homeowners, knowing that this grant program was going to roll, got 3 bids before the grant program rolled. Those bids don't count. They have to use the bid sheets that are that they were made specifically for the grant. So homeowners will say, well, I've got my 3 bids. I've got that already. I've picked my roofer. That's great. But they have to go through the portal, they have to go through the application process, and they have to pick from the list that are on the LDI site. And they also have to have bids that use that bid sheet. I'm seeing if there's anything else I need to go over here. And Alex, you can jump in if you want. And Darren did a great job of going over what happens if the roof is more than 10,000. I will tell you that we're hearing a lot. I'm not saying a lot, but I know I've gotten at least 15 phone calls where homeowners are saying no to the grant when they realize it's not a free grant. So when you're working with your policyholders, very important to explain to them that it's just part of the cost. There's not very many roofs that are going to be under 10,000 in Louisiana right now. I mean, yes, it will happen, but it is a rarity. And so homeowners need to understand that that's a grant that's going to help them get to that fortified roof, but it is by no means a free roof. So we've been hearing from evaluators and contractors that when that bid is handed over to homeowners and they realize that they have to pay above that 10,000, that they're just walking away from it. So it's a concern for us, but there's enough people who need roofs that that money will go back into the pot and it'll go to somebody who needs a roof.
Do you mind if I interrupt here for one quick second?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that we usually tell people, with that discount is, like you said, yeah, it's only a partial grant. It doesn't cover the entirety of the roof. But, if people are going to get that 25 to 45% discount off their premiums, the roof will eventually, the grant and getting the roof will eventually pay for itself. That's something that we usually like to tell people as well, because we've got some people paying 5 figures on their home insurance right now. I mean, y'all know that. So if you're getting a 45% discount on that, that's $4,500, on a $10,000 policy a year. So, but we just like to tell people about that, about the potential discount. A lot of people don't realize that it's not only is it going to protect their home more, but they're going to be more than likely getting a very large discount on their premium.
Thank you, sir.
Seeing in the chat, just somebody had mentioned about the grant applying if somebody has a new roof already, and there is a method, and I will definitely cover that a little bit later in the presentation. So sit tight. We'll talk about how to do that. If somebody has a new roof already, what are their options, or are there options?
Yeah. And the other thing I did forget to mention on there, new construction is not eligible either.
Okay, so I'm going to do a quick, so now what I'm going to do is I just want to give you a context of where you are in your state. Like what's the environment of Louisiana right now? So lots of evaluations happen after big events, right? Lots of people on the ground looking at how did construction work? What worked, what didn't work? You were, for the most part, all the new construction that's happened for years now has been under the 2015 code. That code, where it was enforced, I'm going to say that again, where the code was enforced, worked. The weak link to code, though, is the roof. That's why the fortified roof is so significant and why there's a grant to encourage its adoption in construction methodology. So fortified is like an extra layer of protection. So code protects you, the structure stays intact for someone to evacuate it or to get out of it. Think about house fire. Fortified adds another layer to that in keeping the stuff in that house protected because it keeps the water out. And then because of all the events over the last 5 years, there was a study done by CoreLogic and IBHS, because we knew this anecdotally, but we wanted to know, was it for real? And you have people who've lived this now since Laura and Ida. And that is that homeowners that are in a house that's either been retrofitted or built to a more modern code where it was actually enforced are much better off past the event, right? There's so many foreclosures after major events. And the data was showing basically that for those structures that met a more current code, which you've been in a more current code for quite a while, it's less likely for those homeowners to go into foreclosure. So I'm saying this to you because I want you to know that as much as it's chaotic right now, you have so many important building blocks in place. You've been enforcing a really good code for a long time. It's not always enforced. So it may be a good code, but if it wasn't enforced, it kind of doesn't matter. Let's shift to your success, because I want you to know that there's been success and that it's not all bad. Ida was so significant, but what it provided was some pretty true live laboratory test cases. So there are over 300 homes in the lower Ninth Ward that have been re-roofed to fortified over the last 7 years. All of those that were done by the nonprofit SVP did fantastic in Ida. So these are homeowners or your policyholders that may have had some damage, but they weren't displaced and they weren't displaced for a long period of time. You also had structures on Grand Isle that did fantastic because they were built to the highest level, which is the gold level of fortified. And Alex is going to go into this in more detail. So you've got some examples that went through IDA, which was a Cat 4, and did fantastic, which is a proof point that fortified does work, and it does allow you to shop insurance easier for clients. Now, right now, your market is in such chaos that those homeowners may not see necessarily discounts, but you could get them a policy, and a policy that's more comprehensive than what a lot of homeowners are seeing. Less comprehensive policy, big sticker price, right? The biggest success that came out of IDA and what your state has chosen to do is the affordable workforce housing that's coming out of the CDBG or the community block grant money. That structure on the right, that complex on the right, that is the picture of it the day after IDA. IDA passed right over it, the I passed right over it. A half-mile away is the complex on the left. It is still not habitable. They've not even started construction on it. Most of the residents that were in the complex on the left moved into the complex on the right, including the property manager. Same developer, same construction crews. That was a turning point for your state in how you build affordable workforce housing. And you now lead the nation. We lead the nation. Alabama still leads the nation in single family. You're going to catch up, maybe even surpass us. I'm not going to give you that much yet. I think we're still going to lead, but you can always surpass us. But you are kicking butt when it comes to affordable workforce housing. You now have in place rules and regulations from the Office of Community Development and the Louisiana Housing Corporation that all of your affordable housing and affordable workforce housing is built to a minimum level of roof, but all the way up to gold. So that money is requiring a minimum level, but they gain more points in the bidding process if they go to the highest level. Your tax credit builds are now at a fortified level. So your workforce in affordable housing is going to be the most resilient in the nation. It is turning over that way. So be proud of that, because that is the key to reopening your economy when you get hit pretty significantly. Your workforce has to be able to come back and turn on the lights and open the gas stations and grocery stores. And this isn't going to change. The federal registry changed in 22. The federal registry is what guides every dollar that comes out post-disaster. And I'm sorry, but Louisiana gets hit a lot, and that's not going to change. And so it's important that you understand that all the federal dollars that are coming into the state post-disaster now are requiring some sort of a proof point that the dollar given is used in a way that that dollar is not going to be spent over and over and over to rebuild the same structure over and over. And for you that write commercial insurance and commercial policies, it's also good to pass on to your developer clients that there is a significant return on investment for developers to go to that fortified level, and that renters will also pay more to be in a more resilient apartment. If they know that when they evacuate and they come back, that they are less likely to have lost stuff, then they are encouraging, they are positive when it comes to, would you pay more? Some of them, at least 74% of them said that they would pay more if they knew that their stuff was going to be there when they got back. So my last point to you is that everything is chaotic and in crisis right now. We were the same way. We overcame that. We overcame that by putting building blocks in place to transform our market. I have been working with your state agencies since before COVID to put those building blocks in place. They're almost all there. I'm going to say this really cautiously. The scary part right now is that you've now had a turnover in who sits in office in various places. You are in a really good place moving forward with what's been put in place to get you to that resilience, to get you to where you can find affordable comprehensive policies, to get you to where you will see discounts and they will grow. But all of that has to be protected, literally, going into the next 2 years. And your numbers are really cool because when Laura hit, you only had like 22 designations. You have jumped significantly because of the last 2 years of on the ground grassroots work that we've been doing, and that all of you have been trying to help us move forward. So leading the nation in multifamily, that is a gold star, and be proud of that. You will catch up with home, especially because your grant program incentivizes everybody that's not even in the grant to get that fortified roof. The grant program accelerates people getting that fortified roof and your market changing. Now I'm going to pass it on to all the cool science stuff, because I'm going to pass it on to Alex.
All right, thank you so much, Julie. So I'm going to start by just sharing who IBHS is, so you know a little bit more about that. This is our research center in Richburg, South Carolina, where we do all sorts of research in testing on various hazards. We do a lot of hail research. We do a lot of research in the field, as well as in the test chamber that you saw. We do wildfire research, introducing embers into the wind stream of our facility and seeing how that interacts with the built environment. And then we do considerable amount with water intrusion. You in Louisiana are well familiar with what water intrusion can do. And what we're trying to prevent is the damage you see here time and time again after severe weather events, after wildfires. You'll see here some of our commercial research that we've done as well. And then one of our more spectacular failures for some of our wind research. And just to give you a sense, IBHS is the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety. For those of you that are not familiar with us, we are funded 100% by the property insurance and reinsurance industry, which means many of the companies that you represent are actually member companies of ours. All of that research comes to bear in the Fortified program that I'm going to try to get a little bit into the weeds with you today, so you have a better understanding of what that is. So we focus on the roof a lot, and there is a big reason for that. Julie mentioned code is very good. We see code built homes perform after more modern building codes perform well. We've seen that again, even in most recently in Ian in Florida. But where that gap is in the roof. So we are trying to figure out how we can reduce those damages. 70 to 90% of CAT claims include damage to the roof. And then you all know well, once the roof is damaged, that claim increases significantly because of all the damage that occurs because of that loss. So we know with great surety what kind of damage we're going to see after any given storm event if we know the wind speed, because as the wind speeds increase, that progression of damage increases. We have it both in our research center, and we've found the same things in the field. So this is a very typical roof where you see roof cover loss, and then in which is always the first thing to go, even at winds of around 80 to 90 miles per hour, a roof cover can be lost, and then a lot more damage can occur after that. As the wind speeds increase, we start to see things like soffits fascia, wall cover, siding, all of those things start to go. We saw a lot of siding damage after Sally. And then as the wind speeds continue to increase, we start to see things like roof sheathing and roof structure failure. The roof sheathing actually adds structural value. Once it is lost, there can be considerably more damage start to occur, including things like gable ends and other, it's just a force multiplier. And then ultimately, when those wind speeds max out, and we see this particularly with older structures, we end up with total collapse. And this is also something we see typically in higher level tornado events as well as higher level hurricane events. So to go back, we do all this research. We know what that progression of damage is, and to prevent all of those things from happening, or much of those things from happening, we have our Fortified program. We don't do research for research's sake. We do it to help reduce losses for our member companies and help communities stay stronger. All of those Fortified programs you see on your screen, we have Fortified Home that Julie mentioned, which we have over 50,000 of those nationally. We have our Fortified Commercial program as well. That one you see in the picture is actually the Gulf State Lodge, the Hilton property in Gulf Shores, Alabama, was the first in the country. We have a growing number of commercial projects happening. And then we have our Fortified Multifamily, which Louisiana is leading in. There's subtle differences between all of them, but they do have the same basic premise, and all of it starts with the roof. So I'm going to let Julie play this video, and then we'll dissect it just a little bit.
Year after year, severe storms along the coast and far inland prove just how vulnerable homes, businesses, and communities are when it comes to natural disasters. To help prevent further destruction, the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety, known as IBHS, created the FORTIFIED programs. Specific design and construction standards give home and business owners options to better protect their buildings against hurricanes, hailstorms, low-level tornadoes, and severe thunderstorms. A strong quality control component ensures owners are getting the protection they deserve. There are several FORTIFIED programs, all based on objective, science-based building techniques. This video focuses on the FORTIFIED Home program, which addresses the natural hazard posing the biggest risk in a specific area. The construction standards can be used to build a new home or upgrade an existing home. Using data from more than 20 years of storm damage investigations in the field by IBHS and other experts, along with data from laboratory testing at the IBHS Research Center, FORTIFIED Home provides a uniform set of superior building standards, standards that are stronger than most state building code requirements. Homeowners and builders work with FORTIFIED Home evaluators throughout the construction or retrofitting process to make sure they achieve the desired level of disaster protection that best fits their budget. The roof, a home's first line of defense against Mother Nature, provides a comprehensive roof system designed to keep both wind and water out. A fortified roof features a wind-driven rain management system for advanced protection against water damage. It also provides superior wind uplift resistance by using ring shank nails, which provide double the strength of nails used on traditional homes. The silver level adds extra protection by strengthening building openings, such as windows and doors, to keep out wind, water, and flying debris. The gold level designation ensures the house is tied together and has what engineers call a continuous load path. This means the roof is tied to the walls are tied to the floors, and the house is tied to the foundation. The continuous load path helps the home to stand strong when high winds try to tear it apart. After a certified third-party evaluator verifies all upgrades and critical construction details are complete, homeowners receive a designation certificate with a unique ID number that is valid for 5 years. FORTIFIED Home provides cost-effective, consistent, and defined structural upgrades. These science-based construction practices reduce the risk of damage from extreme weather events and deliver meaningful value to homeowners. That is why FORTIFIED has been endorsed by local, state, and federal government agencies and is being adopted by builders and contractors at all price points. For a complete description of FORTIFIED Home benefits and requirements, visit disastersafety.org/fortified. FORTIFIED works. It truly is the national standard for resilient construction.
Okay, so first I owe Darren an apology. I'm a little bit damaged because we have had so much misinformation about foundations. So thank you for putting in the chat the clarifications. But eligibility is key for the grant program in particular. A fortified home, even at the roof level, you cannot get a fortified designation even at the roof level without the eligibility being met. So new and existing homes are okay for fortified. Grant program is only existing homes. Single family detached is eligible. Duplexes, townhomes, all of as many units as there may be in a building. The key is that the entire structure needs to be retrofitted. So if a person has an individual unit, we cannot fortify that individual unit. The entire building with all the units needs to be retrofitted or re-roofed to fortified in order to achieve a designation. We do not certify in this level in fortified home or with the grant program things like apartments or when units are stacked on top of one another. Manufactured homes are eligible for fortified, but not for the grant program.
Perfect.
Now, I'm going to do a high level of the fortified program. The fortified roof is all about the roof. The only thing that is not roof related is actually attic ventilation. But that's all about the roof, and I'll break that down just briefly in a minute. Fortified silver is also the roof. They build off of one another, the different levels. We also add here the God, my brain just shot out of my head. Damage amplifiers, meaning that when windows and doors are damaged, or garage doors in particular, porches or carports, all of those things can provide a lot more damage in a storm event if they are lost or fail. So keeping those protected. And then the last level is fortified gold. This is primarily going to be for new construction. That's the fortified roof level, fortified silver with the damage amplifiers, and then what we call a load path, meaning that all the roof is tied to the walls to the foundation. Everything's anchored together with hurricane ties so that all of those wind loads get transferred to the ground and the home stays strong. We do have a hail supplement. This is, there's been some misinformation out there. The hail supplement is not a requirement. We do require it if somebody wants to add that hail supplement to either the hurricane level or high wind. We have two different levels. Hurricane is coast, high wind is inland. But that hail supplement can be attached to either one. It is not a requirement, however. And all that means is that that roof cover is going to be impact rated, and anything on the roof needs to be impact rated if somebody opts to do that. It is not a requirement of the grant program. I've had that question numerous times now. So to break fortified roof down, just a little high level for you. The first part is getting the roof torn off all the way down to the roof deck, so that down to the lumber that's covering the roof. Re-nailing it so that with ring shank nails, that doubles the strength of that roof fastening, keeping that roof deck in place. Then we go on to sealing it up. Here, you'll see this method here is using the tape over the seams, which is a very common method. The grant program actually requires a different method, which is fully adhered, or ice and water goes over the entire deck to protect it from when the roof cover is lost, water won't come in. And then the last bit is drip edge or drip eave, that little metal strip around the edge, which actually locks in the entire roof, which the roof cover is then tied to it. And so it's essentially like a load path for that roof edge, because once roof edge is damaged, oftentimes it will be a domino effect with the rest of the roof. I'm going to run through this really quickly. This is a water intrusion test. This is going to give you a very clear visual of why sealing that roof deck is important. This is a duplex structure. We moved into our research facility. There's one difference between the two sides. You'll see here that sealed roof deck is starting to be revealed on the side that's sealed, and on the other side, we do not have a sealed roof deck, and you'll start to see what happens. The wind speeds here were around 89, 90 mile per hour when the roof cover was lost, and now we're dumping 8 inches of rain an hour on that structure. So you can imagine what might be happening on that side without the sealed roof deck. In just a moment, it'll start showing you. You're going to see the water starting to come in around those seams in mass quantities, and it is coming around. It's saturating the insulation. It's saturating the drywall. It's coming around the light fixtures. There's a lot of water. We know that when a roof cover is lost, 60% of the water that hits that deck comes through into the attic and into the home. So that's a big amount of water that creates a lot of damage. We ran this test and we ended up overflowing our gathering mechanisms of what we were gathering all that water. And then shortly thereafter, all of this came crashing down because of the weight of that water. And this side of the home obviously would be not livable for some amount of time. Then you have water and mold issues, all kinds of other issues. So this is the side that was not sealed. The side with the sealed roof deck, as it pans around, you'll see a little bit of insulation on the ground where the attic hatch, when we pulled the attic hatch down, but this side is dry. And most importantly, this side is livable. So someone would have to replace the roof, do a little cleanup, but they'd be able to come back from evacuation and stay in their home and recover more quickly. So we talked about the grant program and what happens if a homeowner re-roofed after Ida, or they've recently re-roofed in the last 5 or so years. If their roof is in good condition and has at least 5 years viable life left, this is the method that we would refer them to, and a method that the grant program will pay for. The challenge here is that the entire underside of the roof deck needs to be accessible. So if somebody has a vaulted ceiling, or there's a situation where they can't access that roof deck from the underside, this method would not work. But this is a closed cell foam spray foam adhesive. This is not the kind of insulation spray foam that you see sometimes in homes. This is a very specific foam. We have very specific testing standards for it. And you'll notice that it's applied at the fillet method, which is what we recommend. We don't recommend the full fill, but this would be on the seams and along the rafters, because it acts as both the ring shank nails, because it has a structural value, and it acts as a sealant to seal up like you would from the top side. Now, that said, I will say that when somebody does need a re-roof later, we do suggest that they still follow the rest of the fortified methods, and they always should contact an evaluator before they touch that roof if they have a fortified designation. The designation process. So initiating the process has to be done early. So an evaluator should be contacted as soon as possible. The roofer and the evaluator should work together because there's a lot of documentation that needs to be gathered in the form of photographs and material information. So as the re-roof is happening, or in the sense of new construction as it's being built, all that documentation is gathered before it's covered up. If somebody doesn't take those photos and something's covered up, we are not taking for granted it is there. They will not get a designation. All of that information is sent by the certified evaluator to IBHS. We have a software system only they can utilize. And then we have an audit team in Tampa that goes through each and every file, making sure all the documentation is there before that certificate is issued. So it is critical that those parties are working together. This is the certificate. It is good for 5 years. It is good for 5 years because and renewable after 5 years. A lot can happen in 5 years. Damage and addition, repairs were made, and the fortified an evaluator was not involved. Then that would null and void the renewal, and somebody would not be eligible. So anybody touches the roof or the structure, they should contact an evaluator to verify whether they need to be out there gathering documentation. You'll see here, this is a new roof designation. When we do have an existing roof, either through foam or upon renewal, it will be an existing roof designation. There can be variables between discounts for some of the carriers between the two. It goes to the address, not to the homeowner. So it's fully transferable. And it can be, so if somebody sells, the new homeowner can take advantage of the discounts. There is a QR code on this certificate. So if you're not sure that certificate is legitimate, scan the QR code and you should get that address, and that certificate should show up. The reason we did that is they are so valuable in Alabama that we actually have fraudulent certificates that we have discovered. So got to make sure that certificate is issued. This is what the company, you should always ask for a certificate. Do not take for granted that somebody has a fortified roof if they say they have a fortified roof. This is what you should make sure you have in your hand before you enter that policy. Okay, we have a few minutes for questions. We're running out of time.
Yeah, I can send you some. So one question we got was, what is the requirement for roof material, metal, shingle, slate, etc.?
So for the grant program, the grant program will cover shingle roofs. It's specifically in the bid sheet references 3-tab shingles, which 3-tab shingles can meet the fortified home requirement. There's a class rating for the shingles that is most important. So just want to dispel the myth that just because it's 3-tab does not mean it will not perform. So shingles are what the grant program will pay for. Any kind of upgrade that a homeowner may want, they were going to have to pay for that additional upgrade. I do want to mention very quickly, going back to, because I think for the essence of time, we didn't put the foundation requirements in there, but dry stack foundation, if you see in the chat, is what we're talking about, will make a home ineligible. There are other eligibility specific to the structure that are important, which is why the eligibility pre-site inspection that the grant program is requiring is critical. A homeowner should not move forward even with the bids until they have gotten that pre-site inspection from their evaluator. And the contractor should use that when they're providing their bids to make sure that if there are any eligibility challenges, that is addressed, because sometimes there can be a retrofit that will get it up to eligible. But dry stack means there's no mortar. It's just sitting there with gravity on something that you could literally kick the foundation over if the house wasn't sitting on it. So those are not eligible, but stem walls or any kind of masonry piers are eligible.
So for the grant program, you said that it's shingles. Are there other standards that are eligible for fortified certification, just not the grant program, with metal roofs and those kinds of things?
Yes, I'm sorry, I misunderstood the question. Yes,
no, that's good. I just wanted to clarify.
Agnostic. Yeah, we're pretty material agnostic as long as it meets. With shingles have a rating. Other types of roof product have design pressure and must be tested for wind speed. But yes, all types of roof cover are potentially eligible as long as they have the testing.
Good. We covered the fact that new home construction is not eligible for the grant. And you covered a little bit about the new home construction standards as far as ring shank nails and some of those things. For additional information, I'm assuming they can go to IBHS's website if they want to look in more detail on that.
Yes, fortifiedhome.org is where you can find information on the fortified standards and the technical information and all the various different levels. But yes, that would be the best place to go for more information. And we can put our information in the chat as well.
We could
Alright.
put the-
Ben, we could also, because it's so much about the grant and fortified with the grant today, we can also do this again for you for your membership and go through the whole thing and get them all the way to gold so
Sure.
they understand load path. So we can do
Absolutely.
So we got a question about can it be applied to spray foam? You said that it can. The grant can be applied to the spray foam if somebody's got a new roof.
Yeah.
Some of our standard carriers, this may be for you, Darren. Some of our standard carriers are advising that they do not give a credit for fortified roofs. When will they be required? So an admitted carrier that's saying they don't currently offer a discount for fortified. When is that requirement effective?
No, so they are.
We're not hearing you, Darren. Can you start again?
Oh, can you hear me now? I've got my mic on. Can you hear me?
A little bit.
Oh,
Go ahead.
right. Okay. No, so they're supposed to provide their actuarial formulas by today. And it's a law that was passed that if you have the fortified certification and the work done on your home, the insurance company is required to give a discount. That discount obviously is not a hard number. It just says a discount, but every single insurance company is supposed to provide their actuarial formulas by today, and then it would be posted on our website. So that's what I was saying before that, let's say a company comes out and says, well, we'll just give a 1% discount. We're sending that back to them. We're going, no, why can't you give us what you're giving Alabama, which is between 25 and 45%? But no, it is required by law that they give a discount on this. But all that stuff will be hopefully done here within the beginning of the month, and then those rates will be published on our website.
Darren, do you know, has Louisiana Citizens filed for a fortified discount?
I can find that out. I do not know.
We'll send out a post-event email, and I'll try to get that information and include it in the post-event email.
And I'm going to clarify. I'm going to back Darren up on what he's saying. So in Alabama, you can get 25 to upwards of 55, but but 45 doesn't come into play in Alabama unless you're at gold. So so roof for us is 25 to 35%. That's roof. You have to go to silver to get into that higher, and then you have to go to gold really to get to that 45 to 50%. So
is that where the whole home is fortified?
That's where the whole home, and you really can't get to gold easily unless you're building new. Now, because you guys have had such significant hurricane events, homes that are being gutted, there is an opportunity for an existing structure when you have a gut going on to get to gold, and that's because gold is all about what's inside the walls. As Alex was saying, you have to be able to strap and anchor, and that's all happening inside the walls. So you can get there with an existing structure, but you really have to be you have to be gutting it to do that.
That's a good note. And just quite frankly, I think our policyholders would take 25% happily at the moment. So how is the state mandated insurance credit applied? Is it applied to the entire premium or to the wind portion?
Just the wind.
Just the wind portion, which obviously is a pretty significant portion of the premium anyway. What qualifies as a new roof? They said as long as you have at least 5 years of estimated life left in the roof, then they recommend doing the spray foam instead of taking off the roof covering.
As far as for the certification, when it says new roof on the certificate, that means it's either it was designated at the time of re-roof, or it's a new home with a new roof. So those are the two times that it would actually say new roof. If from any other examples would be existing roof. So the spray foam would be existing roof. A renewal of a new roof certificate would be an existing roof.
Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions. Just a couple of things that I want to address just before we sign off here. For our agents, please be talking to your policyholders about the fortified standard. this is an opportunity for us, with the market being what it is, for us to try to extol the virtues of this program. Building stronger homes has to be a significant part of the solution long term if we want a healthy property market in the state. So not just people that have told you they're in the market for a new roof. I would be talking to all of your policyholders that you write property for about the virtues of this, so that when they come to building a new roof, they know to get involved in this process early. I also wanted to bring back, Alex mentioned it briefly, there is a commercial standard for this as well. We talk about it primarily in the context of homes, because obviously there are so many homes and the grant program is specific to homes. You cannot get a grant for a commercial building, but there is a standard for it. So it's good to talk to your commercial policyholders about it as well. If your policyholder wants to get a fortified home, either the roof standard or one of the other standards, they need to get involved with a fortified inspector very, very early in the process. So make sure from the moment they first start talking about it, they're getting with the fortified people, because once the roof starts going on, it's often too late for them to get involved in fortifying, because they need to see everything down to the studs basically in order to do it, to get the certification. And then lastly, if you do have someone that wants to get involved in the grant program, we expect that all of the money that has thus far been allocated will go in this next round of offerings, which is taking place on January 6th. So please get them to go on right now and create an account so that they're ready at noon. I know the experience in Alabama has been that sometimes in seconds this grant money goes, because everybody is sitting there clicking refresh trying to get it done. So if you have somebody that is interested in it, have them go in and create an account now, and then they can be ready to be one of those people clicking the button to try to get it when it goes live at noon. Am I right, Darren, on the 6th?
Yes. Yeah, I got the second mixed up with I think the discounted is due, but yes, it's noon on the 6th.
So if somebody wants to be involved in this next round, we are hopeful, we don't know yet, but we are hopeful that the legislature will put some more money into this. Obviously, there has been a demand for it, and obviously we need to build better homes. So we're hopeful that they will allocate some more monies to it and that there will be future rounds. But for now, the last of the money is likely to go in this round. Julie, Darren, Alex, anybody got any other closing comments before we sign off?
Go, Darren, and I'll go behind.
I was just going to say, I just emailed our fortified manager, and he did tell me in regards to citizens, he wasn't sure if they had submitted one yet, but they are supposed to be due today. So I would tell people just to keep an eye on the website and check it out and see, when those companies have posted their discount on there. I know there are some that are on there right now. Some have already posted them, and people are already getting discounts for previous fortified improvements to their home. But I would just tell people just to keep checking it out, because they were due today.
So we'll try to get more information as that develops a little bit. Julie?
I was just going to back up what you were saying, in that your program is unique in that it is not a recurring funding cycle. And so we need your help as much as everybody, just to help. You're going to get a PDF of this presentation. So all those bullet points I went over at the very beginning, if you'll just have those with you when you get the phone calls from customers and clients, to keep dispelling all of the untruths that are out there about the grant program, because your legislature is going to be very interesting this next session, right? Because there's new leadership, there's new faces, and it's precarious. It's not necessarily going to get approved again. So we need that positivity happening, and we need a successful grant program for your legislators to say, okay, that worked. We need to figure out how to fund it again. Unfortunately, the grant program is going to be very political coming into the session. And so helping us educate as many people as possible about what the grant is, how it works, and what it really will do is a huge benefit for all of you because you need it to be funded again. Our agents look at Fortified as protecting their book of business. They know that their clients with a Fortified designation, no matter what level, will incur some damage, but not enough damage that, one, it may not even trigger the deductible. I mean, we've seen that pretty extensively where there's some damage, but they're not displaced and they don't have a claim. And so that our agents really look at that as a protecting their book situation. So they use it as a marketing tool. It has worked for our market, and we wouldn't be so in Louisiana every other week if we didn't believe it wouldn't help your market too.
Great, thank you, Julie. Alex, did you have anything?
Just quickly, if you have any questions about the Fortified program or about the grant program or anything, or even if you have doubts before you share something, make sure you get it from us because we want to make sure, like Julie said, there's a lot, it is astounding how much bad information is out there. So please, we'd be glad to help. Let us know what we can do, ask questions often, and we'll get through this.
Awesome. I'm just going to address a couple of late questions we got in. Will this presentation be available for future viewing? Yes, we are recording this and we will make it available and you can send it to anybody that you like. We will also include a link in that in our post-event email. Is anyone speaking with the home builders industry to get them involved in the program? And locally, they don't have any contractors or roofers that were aware of the program as far as they can tell. Yes, we are. The IBHS and Safe Home America people are. We're doing everything we can to try to build awareness about the program and make sure that there are enough qualified inspectors and those kinds of people so that we can support this long term. And with the grant monies, we're hoping that will only accelerate things because there is more demand all of a sudden because there's money available. So we expect it to continue to ramp up. But you're not wrong that the knowledge level needs to continue to grow. Darren, where?
And Ben, I'm going to say, if you're in a market where you just don't have anybody, reach out to Alex or I, and we will directly go to the home builder association that supports your area. We'll reach out directly to them and have a conversation and get them trained and get them aware of it. Alex and I both have been working with the home builders in the southern part, right, the hurricane zone, for the last 4 years. So many of them are excited about Fortified and they are learning how to integrate it. But if you're in an area and nobody knows what it is, just call Alex or I, and we will reach out to whoever that group is that supports your area and basically bring them up to speed so that you can have somebody in the market.
Darren, we got a question about where on the LDI website it's going to list the insurance company's Fortified credits. Do you have that?
I do not, to be honest. I can find that out.
That's fine. We will find it and include it in the post-event email if we can. So we'll try to get that to you, Paige. All right. It looks like that is all of our questions. Thank you to our guests. Thank you so much for coming and sharing the knowledge. Thank you to everybody for participating. We'll make this available if you want to share it to someone else in your office or anyone else, one of your clients, etc. We will make this available. And thank you for all the good information. Have a good day, and thanks for letting us run over by about 15 minutes here. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.